The canyon walls rise like ancient tombs of stone, vertical, unforgiving, inescapable. 6 Clovis hunters stand frozen in the narrow corridor of rock, their spears trembling in calloused hands. Before them, blocking the only exit, stands 8 tons of enraged mammoth, tusks stained with blood, eyes burning with primal fury. The beast's trumpet shatters the silence, echoing off the canyon walls like thunder from an angry god. There is no escape route, no second chance. The hunters realize too late, they are not the predators here, they are the trapped, and the mammoth is coming. Subscribe now, because survival was never guaranteed. The Frozen World. 13,000 years before the rise of civilization, the land that will one day be called the American Southwest exists as a realm of extremes. The Ice Age still grips the continent in frozen fingers, though its hold weakens with each passing century. Massive glaciers retreat slowly northward, leaving behind a transformed landscape, deep canyons carved by ancient rivers, vast grasslands dotted with scattered pine forests, and rock formations sculpted by millennia of wind and ice. The Grand Canyon region stretches across the horizon like a wound in the earth itself, a labyrinth of stone corridors, vertical cliffs, and hidden passages carved through layers of ancient rock. In the early morning, mist rises from the depths of these canyons, creating an otherworldly atmosphere where shadows dance and visibility deceives. The temperature hovers just above freezing, and the air carries the scent of sage, dust, and something else, something massive and alive. This is a world ruled by giants. Mammoths wander the grasslands in small herds, their shaggy coats protection against the persistent cold. Dire wolves hunt in coordinated packs, short-faced bears dominate the valleys. And somewhere in this dangerous mosaic of predator and prey, humans struggle to survive, not through strength or size, but through intelligence, cooperation, and desperate cunning. The Clovis Hunters. 6 hunters move through the canyon approaches like ghosts. They are Clovis people, named for the distinctive stone spear points they craft with extraordinary skill. Each hunter carries a wooden shaft, tipped with a fluted stone point, its edges sharp enough to split hair, its design perfected through generations of trial, error, and necessity. These are not primitive savages fumbling in the dark. These are apex predators in human form, possessing knowledge accumulated over thousands of years of survival in the harshest environments on Earth. The leader is a man in his 30s, ancient by the standards of his time. His face bears scars from previous hunts, a mammoth tusk that grazed his shoulder, a dire wolf bite that nearly cost him his hand. His eyes scan the terrain with the intensity of someone who understands that every decision means life or death. Behind him, 5 others follow. 2 experienced hunters in their 20s, 2 younger men on their first major mammoth hunt, and 1 elder tracker whose failing body is compensated by unmatched knowledge of animal behavior. They have been tracking this particular mammoth for 3 days, a solitary bull separated from his herd, likely driven out by younger, more aggressive males. Solitary mammoths are dangerous but vulnerable. Without the protection of the herd, without the warning trumpets of fellow giants, a lone bull can be ambushed, wounded, and eventually brought down through persistence hunting and coordinated strikes. The plan is simple in concept, brutal in execution. Drive the mammoth into one of the narrow canyon corridors, where its size becomes a disadvantage. Attack from elevated positions where tusks cannot reach. Wound it repeatedly until blood loss and exhaustion make the kill possible. It is a strategy that has worked before. It will work again. Or so they believe. First threat. The trap closes. The hunters spot the mammoth in the early afternoon, grazing near the entrance to a canyon corridor. The beast is magnificent and terrifying in equal measure. Shoulder height nearly 12 feet, tusks curving outward and forward like twin scythes, each one longer than a man is tall. The mammoth's coat hangs in thick reddish-brown curtains, matted with dust and dried mud. Its trunk moves with surprising delicacy as it strips bark from a struggling pine tree. The leader signals silently. The hunters spread out, positioning themselves to drive the mammoth deeper into the canyon. 2 men circle wide to approach from behind. 2 others climb to elevated positions on the canyon rim. The elder and 1 young hunter remain with the leader, ready to block retreat once the mammoth enters the stone corridor. The trap is set. The first spear flies from an elevated position, striking the mammoth's rear flank. The stone point penetrates deep, and blood immediately darkens the shaggy coat. The mammoth trumpets in shock and pain, a sound so loud it seems to shake the very rocks. The beast wheels around, searching for its attacker, but sees only stone and shadow. Another spear flies. This one strikes near the shoulder, embedding between ribs. The mammoth trumpets again, this time with rage rather than surprise. It begins to move, not away from the hunters, but toward the perceived safety of the canyon corridor, where walls will protect its flanks. Exactly as planned. The hunters follow at a safe distance, their hearts pounding with anticipation and fear. The canyon narrows as they advance, walls rising higher on both sides. The mammoth moves forward, following the path of least resistance, unaware that this corridor has only one exit, and that exit will soon be blocked. The corridor narrows to barely 20 feet wide. Perfect hunting ground, or so the leader believes. He signals the hunters on the rim to prepare for the kill strikes. The mammoth continues forward, trumpeting periodically, searching for an escape route that doesn't exist. Then everything changes. The young hunter at the canyon entrance moves too soon, too eager, too inexperienced. He throws his spear from 60 feet away, too far for accuracy. The spear clatters against stone, and the mammoth sees him. For one frozen moment, man and beast lock eyes. The mammoth understands. This is not an accident. This is not a random attack. This is coordinated. This is intentional. This is a trap. And traps can be reversed. Hit subscribe. The hunt just became survival. The mammoth charges, not deeper into the canyon, but back toward the entrance, back toward the only exit. The young hunter scrambles backward, terror replacing eagerness. The mammoth covers the distance with shocking speed, its massive bulk moving like an avalanche of flesh and fury. The hunter at the entrance tries to run, but his foot catches on loose stone. He falls. The mammoth is 10 feet away. 5 feet. The other hunters scream warnings, but sound travels slowly when death moves fast. The elder tracker throws his spear with desperate precision. The stone point strikes the mammoth's face, just below the eye. Blood erupts. The mammoth veers sideways, trumpeting in agony, buying the fallen hunter precious seconds. He scrambles to his feet and runs, abandoning his weapons, abandoning everything except the primal need to survive. But the damage is done. The mammoth now stands at the canyon entrance, the only exit, blocking it completely. The massive body fills the space between walls, tusks spanning the width of the corridor. Behind the beast, open terrain and safety. Ahead of the beast, 6 hunters trapped in a stone tomb with a wounded, enraged giant. The leader assesses the situation with the cold clarity of someone who has stared death in the face before. They cannot go around. The walls are vertical, unclimbable without equipment they don't possess. They cannot go over. The mammoth stands 12 feet high at the shoulder. They cannot wait. A wounded mammoth may stay aggressive for hours, and cold will kill the hunters before the beast decides to leave. There is only one option: go through the mammoth. The mammoth advances into the corridor, each step deliberate, each movement calculated. This is no longer a panicked retreat. This is hunting behavior. The beast has transformed from prey to predator, from victim to executioner. Blood streams from wounds on its flank and face, painting dark trails down the shaggy coat. But pain only fuels the rage. The hunters back away, weapons raised, searching for defensible positions. The 2 men on the canyon rim throw their remaining spears. One misses entirely, clattering off stone. The other strikes the mammoth's back, but fails to penetrate deeply through the thick hide and matted fur. The beast barely reacts. The corridor narrows further ahead. The leader recognizes a slight widening in the canyon wall, a shallow alcove, barely deep enough to provide protection. He signals desperately. The hunters understand. They run. The mammoth charges. The sound is apocalyptic. 8 tons of muscle and bone thundering across stone, trumpeting fury echoing off canyon walls. The vibration felt through the ground like an earthquake. The hunters sprint toward the alcove, legs burning, lungs screaming, knowing that hesitation means death. The youngest hunter doesn't make it. The mammoth's trunk lashes out with whip-like speed, catching the young man's leg. He crashes face first into stone, blood erupting from his shattered nose. Before he can rise, the mammoth is upon him. A massive foot comes down, not on the hunter directly, but near enough that stone chips explode like shrapnel. The hunter rolls desperately, avoiding instant death by inches. The leader makes a choice. He cannot save the young hunter and reach safety, but he can create a distraction. He turns, plants his feet, and drives his spear with all his strength into the mammoth's trunk, the most sensitive part of the beast's body. The reaction is immediate and catastrophic. The mammoth screams, a sound of pure agony that transcends species. The trunk recoils, releasing the young hunter. Blood pours from the wound. The mammoth wheels toward the leader, eyes blazing with mindless rage. Tusks swing in a wide arc. The leader dives sideways, rolling across stone, feeling the whisper of death pass inches from his body. The other hunters use the distraction. They drag the injured young man into the alcove, their sanctuary barely 6 feet deep, enough to keep them out of tusk range, not enough to provide true safety. The mammoth cannot reach them directly, but it can wait. It can starve them. It can kill them through patience. Hours pass. The mammoth remains at the alcove entrance, occasionally probing with its wounded trunk, trumpeting periodically, a sound like thunder trapped in stone. Blood continues to flow from its wounds, staining the canyon floor. The beast is weakening, but not quickly enough. The hunters huddle in their stone shelter, fighting cold, fighting fear, fighting the slow realization that they may die here. The young hunter with the broken nose drifts in and out of consciousness. The elder tracker's hands shake. Whether from cold or age, it's impossible to say. The leader studies the mammoth with calculating eyes. The beast is bleeding heavily now. The spear wounds, initially minor, have continued to seep blood. The trunk wound especially. Blood flows steadily, dripping onto stone. The mammoth's movements are slower, less aggressive. Exhaustion and blood loss are weapons the hunters didn't need to throw, but time is also their enemy. Temperature drops as afternoon fades toward evening. Without fire, without shelter beyond bare rock, the hunters will freeze long before the mammoth dies. They need a solution. They need it now. The leader remembers stories told by elders around nighttime fires. Stories of mammoths enraged beyond reason, mammoths that charged into rivers and drowned, mammoths that attacked rock formations until their skulls cracked. Pain and rage can override even mammoth intelligence. An idea forms, desperate, dangerous, possibly suicidal. He signals to the hunters on the canyon rim, hunters the mammoth has apparently forgotten. They understand immediately. They begin throwing stones, not spears, just rocks, at the mammoth's wounded face, targeting the area around the eye where the elder's spear struck. The mammoth trumpets and charges toward the canyon wall, trying to reach its tormentors. Its tusks scrape against stone. Its trunk probes upward, searching for targets beyond reach. And most importantly, it moves away from the alcove. The leader doesn't hesitate. He sprints from the alcove, running not toward the exit, but deeper into the canyon. The other hunters follow, carrying the injured young man between them. The mammoth sees the movement, wheels around, trumpets in rage, but the beast is wounded, exhausted, bleeding. Its charge is slower now, less coordinated. The hunters have a head start. They run deeper into the canyon, searching for what the leader suspects must exist. A secondary passage, a crack in the stone, something the mammoth's bulk cannot follow. They find it 100 yards deeper, a narrow fissure in the canyon wall, barely wide enough for a man to squeeze through sideways. Beyond it, a secondary corridor that eventually leads back to open terrain. The hunters push through the gap, scraping skin against stone, forcing their bodies through spaces never meant for human passage. Behind them, the mammoth trumpets one final time. A sound of frustration, rage, and perhaps something like relief. The beast will not follow, cannot follow. They emerge from the canyon 2 hours later, after navigating a maze of stone passages in growing darkness. The young hunter with the broken nose is unconscious, his breathing shallow. The elder tracker collapses immediately upon reaching open ground, his body finally giving in to exhaustion. They have survived. But at what cost? No mammoth meat will feed their tribe. No hide will provide winter warmth. No ivory will be traded for essential supplies. They return empty-handed, carrying a dying companion, having learned a brutal lesson. In the ancient world, sometimes the prey wins. As night falls, the leader looks back toward the canyon. Somewhere in that stone labyrinth, a wounded mammoth still lives, bleeding, suffering, enraged. It may survive its wounds. It may die slowly in the darkness. Either way, it will never trust humans again. And the hunters will never forget. Intelligence is not always enough. Strategy does not guarantee victory. And sometimes the only success is surviving to hunt another day. This is Extinct Killers. Subscribe for more stories where survival was never certain and death was always one mistake away.